Oh, dang. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Yanagida Podcast Show, episode 36. Guys, I got a special guest. We got Derick Sebastion in the house, guys, who is an international ukulele artist who just recently released his new album, Dear Me. And, before we get into the album and everything, Derick, how did you get started in ukulele and, like, just your background? Because for people listening for the first time about you.
It's been 27 years since I picked up the ukulele, so it's been a while. And I picked it up when I was 11 years old. And basically the story behind it was, I got really sick one year with asthma. And, prior to that, I was playing sports a lot, like baseball and football and stuff. And when I got sick that one year, when I was 11 years old, my sixth grade year, I had nothing to do. So long story short, I was introduced to the ukulele by my school security and my brother, Roger, my older brother. And, from there, when I picked up the ukulele, that really changed my life. And, the rest is history.
The rest is history. Oh, my God. So take us back. So you're in high school. You picked up the ukulele. You're playing.
Oh, sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
Yeah.
And then you kept playing.
Yeah.
And then when did it start clicking where it's like, oh, I think I'm going to do this, like when you're 12, 13, it's kind of like, I think it's just a hobby. Mm-hmm. But where was that turning point where it was like, oh, I'm going to do this?
Honestly, I think it was 8th grade. It was a few years later.
Wow.
Because what happened was I got introduced to different types of platforms as far as playing on stages, jam sessions, these little ukulele clubs, and ukulele contests. Yeah. So I had it gave me a little bit of wow, this is super cool. I would love to keep, continue, but how? What is next kind of deal. So that, I think, my 8th grade, definitely by freshman, I had envisioned, how can I use this instrument to continue on, because like I said, it just really inspired me. But I continue on playing sports and moving forward throughout high school. But the ukulele was definitely that prominent, that hey, it was a tug kind of deal.
So you've been doing it throughout the whole teenager, and then once you're an adult, where did your path initially go?
Well, before I graduated high school, I was presented with several hard decisions because I could have continued on with sports or totally pivot into the music industry. And I remember it was really tough because I could have definitely continued in baseball, but I didn't. I forgot a little bit of the scholarships and all those little things that could help me with college. Right. However, I took the music scholarships. And I went into music production and producing and learning engineering and all that stuff.
Where was this at?
It was a trade school, Los Angeles Recording School. And I did that for a couple of years. Went really well. Made some great connections, but eventually came home and enrolled in UH Manoa. The outreach through UH Manoa.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and almost bachelor's, but right at the last minute, things turned again with the music industry where I ended up pursuing even more.
Wow.
So, it was a...
And what was that? So people are curious, like, oh my God, what was that? What was that like that right before you graduated?
As far as
an opportunity to go somewhere?
Well, after high school, I went to the school, the Los Angeles Recording School. Right. And then when I came home, I felt that maybe I wanted to continue on with schooling first. And I was studying something that honestly I didn't feel passionate about in college. Human relations, I love it. It was talking stories, it was counseling, it was in the schooling which I really enjoyed. But I felt that tug again with the music. So I think I had like 22 credits left for a bachelor's, and I didn't finish. So I should have, but at the same time, there were a couple opportunities to pursue music a little bit more, and I went for it. So
that's awesome, man. That's really great for people listening. We got some college guys, a bunch of college athletes that we trained that were my high school athletes. Listening to this, and they put a lot of pressure on themselves. They may be an artist or musician or whatever their talents are. Because I had dropped out of college my second year.
Yes.
And so I actually got that inspiration from Jake. Because I was going to school with Andrew Molina.
Oh, right on.
And then so he was like, I'm going to go visit my friend Jake. I said, who? Jake Shimabukuro. I was like, oh, he's like my teacher. I was like, what? And then, and that whole thing was like, oh, I went to, school, but I stopped. And I was like, oh, dang. I'm going to go to fitness. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And then, so for the first like 5 or 10 years, like after in your 20s, what was that like? Playing music and...
Well, as an artist, to me, everything always evolves. There's a lot of downs more than ups because you're just trying to find your way, and not to mention, my early 20s, I think 22, I got married, and then 23, we had our first child, which is Santana.
Yeah.
And that plays a big role in decision making, and it was definitely, and it still is, but that was the big motivation right there, was having a young family and a lot of responsibilities. So that drove me to, that's when I remember I went into music full time completely, where I would study the music business. And this is when Santana was born already. He was like, oh my goodness, maybe less than a year. But that was my early 20s, where I would literally get up maybe about 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, and I would do my calls, my emails. I would have a couple mentors I worked with, and then Santana would probably get up, and then I would take care of baby. My wife would go to work. She was a teacher back then. And then, I would stay home with him, and then I would perform nighttime. So it was a very brutal schedule. So I would do a lot of music business during the day and then perform. And then, it kept on, it was ongoing. And then it kind of caught on. I would say, geez, when I started to travel, maybe 5 years down the road after that.
Where were some of the places you traveled to?
It started obviously in the islands, and then it went in the mainland area, West Coast for sure. I started in the Bay Area. Ukulele festivals, house concerts, workshops, small tours that I learned how to book in a sense where it was all independent. I didn't really have any, and I still don't really have like a agent's representation, an agency. So self-manage, but yet I do have a team, if that makes any sense. But I did that, and my goodness, that's when things kind of took off a little bit.
So Derick, this is incredible because I hear this a lot about people playing music or artists. This is a perfect opportunity. You're gonna hate me, all the young guys. For a smart, talented, aspiring like artist or musician, what would your advice be to them? Because it sounds like the work ethic was ridiculous. I mean, like, just what would you say to them listening?
I mean, definitely, first of all, you gotta love what you're doing. You gotta have that, wow, this is super cool. Whatever excites you. Back then ukulele wasn't popular, but it sure excited me. So I figured, hey, listen, if this excites me, what else is possible? Ukulele, nobody was really touring. Like nobody was really making a splash. But yet at the same time I envisioned that. So if for the younger generations, if you find something fun and exciting, then you do have a potential. You do have potential in it. And right now in today's world of media and, so much, it's so accessible. I think anything is possible, man. Find something you enjoy doing. If you have a passion that excites you, then show up, see where it takes you, because you just never know. Like myself, I could name several events that in my mind.
What are some of those events? People are like, what are those? Because there's probably you've been a block, man. Like the history and the accomplishments and the accolades, bro. Like, what are the few that pop out in your mind? Like, dang, that was special.
First of all, I realized I was blessed with a gift. I knew that it was my calling, and it was my responsibility to show up and see where it takes me. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of self-doubt, but yet at the same time, at the end of the day, I knew that was my calling. So, I wanted to travel the world and play at these big stages and festivals, and it happened. I started in Australia. When after the US part, I wanted to expand. Started Australia, and I think, and then a year later, it was oh my goodness, where did I go? I went Thailand, Philippines, Korea in 1 year. Yeah, it was back and forth. Korea booked me twice in 1 year. And then in a 4-year span, I think I went Korea 3 times, China twice, Europe, Germany, Finland, Estonia, and then in the midst of everything was a lot of US stuff. It was insane, absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know if I would touch ground, kind of deal. And that happened, Yeah,
what is that like? Like, I can't imagine. You're standing for. So people listening, what is that like? When you're standing there and you see everything and you're about to go. Is it what do you feel? Emotion, adrenaline, excitement? What is that? What's go through your mind and heart?
I think everything. I'm excited because it's new adventures, new opportunities. At the same time, I'm leaving my family back home. Right. And that at that time I had 2, Santana and Marley, and possibly Jackson in the mix already. And my wife, she holding down the household, you know what I mean?
Shout out, man. The wife,
big time, Raimi.
Raimi.
Yeah, so it was tough, man. The time difference is really, put a. It was just difficult. Sometimes I could be, 12 hours difference, sometimes 8, sometimes wherever. I don't know, whatever. But then at the same time, you talk to the family. Once you hang up, it's kind of game time. We are on the bus or on the tour, vans, city to city. It's unreal, bro, Justin, because it's such a different world. I mean, they treat you like king, like just crazy, top notch, and I'm not used to. They carry your bags. They maybe give you coffee when you want. They give you anything, whenever, anytime. Oh my goodness. And it is so insanely hard to accept because, it's kind of like, wherever you show up, the room is ready, the stage is ready. We with these tour managers, stage managers, production managers. It's such a big thing. Wow. But when you come home, it's back to normal life, washing dishes, chasing kids, talking, just it's insane, It's back to just a switch, And I was going back and forth. I chose not to be away from the family more than a month. So my tours were broken up, oh my goodness, which was I'd gone 4 weeks at the most, come back for a month and a half, and then go out again. Wow. Come back, go out again, come back.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Wow. Have you been doing that pre-COVID or was that more 10, 15 years ago?
It was I was traveling up to pre-COVID. Yeah. Not as much,
Yeah.
but very selectively.
That's
And
amazing.
it was more sporting events and stuff
Oh, I
like that.
see, I
Yeah,
see.
it was not
Dude,
too much tours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people been asking me that. I put a post out about it. They're like, "Oh my God, Derek!" I got students like, "I love Derick Sebastion. I like this guy. Oh my God, his music." And a lot of them were like, "What about the Lakers?"
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
of what transpired last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
People are curious, like, what was that like? I mean, out of all the events, I think that was the one that people asked me about most to ask you about. Like, please ask Derek about that.
Oh my God! You know, that was a dream come true, and that was one of those dreams that is just almost seems impossible, because the story was, I mean, prior to the Lakers, I had a dream of, hey, I told my wife, I want to meet Oprah one day. We both laughed, and then it happened. I got to meet Oprah, teach ukulele lessons, and perform for her. It was like, hey, one day I want to meet Jason Mraz. That happened. I visioned myself being a TED Talk speaker. That happened. I mean, there was so much in my mind. There's got to be some way, somehow. And the Lakers, all those events led up to the Lakers, where I remember my wife and I sitting at my in-laws at Papa's table eating dinner, and it was watching, I think, the Lakers. Yeah, there definitely was the Lakers, but I think it was like Kobe and I don't know what team they had. I don't think Shaq was playing already, but we were watching the Lakers, and I said, hey, what would it be like to be front and center at Staples Center? Nah, we laugh. We just laugh, right? So I start doing the work, the research, and I start inquiring. Never got any response for over 3 years.
3 years.
Over, easy. Over, maybe close to 4. And I remember one day, I had the kids in the car driving out of McDonald's right here in Wailuku. I know exactly where I was. My phone rings. I look at them. It's a Los Angeles number. Lots of those. Put them on the side, right? Lots of those. Delete, not delete, but ignore. Dude, one, and then that voicemail was one in, was in the mix, and going through the voicemails that night. And it was Lisa Estrada. Yeah, she was the Laker girl, one of the big-time Laker girls, they call them, or something. Yeah. And she was game operations director of the Lakers. And she called me. She said, hey, I've been getting your messages, and I really been researching you and watching your journey, I guess. I mean, I didn't know, right? I was like, holy smokes, she's been paying attention, right? And she said she would love for me to open up the Lakers preseason on Oahu at the Stan Sheriff Center. And I was like, okay, when? And she said, the specific date. And I looked at my calendar and said, oh my gosh, I'm going to be between tours. And she said, okay, what are the details? So I said, well, I'm in the mainland. I come home for just 5 days and I'm off to Korea.
Right.
She said, well, that 5 days, is it like family time? I said, yes, that's my family time. She said, how about the Lakers fly out the whole entire family from Maui to Honolulu? We take care of you guys, and then we send you guys back to Maui, and we can have that as your family time.
Wow.
And then you continue on.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I totally was living out of suitcases for like 3.5 months that time. But anyways, we did that. And that was a success at the Stan Sheriff Center. 3-4 months, the same season, 3-4 months later, I was going on, I had an event in LA or something like that. I don't know. But I emailed Lisa. I said, hey, I will be in town. I'd love to catch a Lakers game or, whatever you guys need. She replied immediately and she said, will you have your ukulele? I said, yes, I will. And she said, I got this historic game. I was like, oh my gosh. She said, yes, the last time Kobe Bryant will be playing the Cavaliers and LeBron James going to be coming into town. Would you mind opening up with the national anthem at Staples Center? And my bones just went like in shock. Like, I couldn't believe it, Oh my God. So I said yes. And that was the first time I did Lakers. That was huge. I mean, it went viral. I couldn't. My phone was just dying from notifications, so I had to turn off Yeah, it was insane, man. It was like, you know, the news was calling KITV4, KHON, Hawaii News. It was just like, can I just enjoy the game? Because I was still in the game, like watching the game, and my phone was just going like crazy. So I was like, dude, I gotta shut this off. And it was insane because, you know, we did that, and the game was done, and we're like, wow, that was super cool. And I remember getting a phone call, and he's a good friend of mine, Patrick Even Jr. He's texting me from wherever he was, and he said Sports Center. So I was like, Sports Center? We're eating, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my God, yeah, we're eating after the game. And then we get back to the hotel. I remember my wife calls me. She said, hey, are you on social media? I said, no, I'm not. I am not on social media, and I trying to get back to, you know, trying to have the adrenaline calm down a little bit. She said, I think you might want to turn on the TV. I was like, for real? She said, yes, you got to turn on Sports Center. So I was like, really? So my team, we went back up to our hotel room, we turned on the TV, and then I was on Sports Center playing the national anthem. I think like a 30-second clip.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was it. That was crazy. That was so insane. That was the first time doing the Staples. So fast forward, the next year I did the anthem for the LA Clippers. That was super awesome. And then I think recently, 2018 or 17, I'm not too really sure, I did the Lakers again. Yeah, all at Staples. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Like, where does all this come from? Like the determination of like 3 years. People are probably listening. 3 years. You've been knocking on that door for 3 years.
Yeah.
Where does that like?
Well, I think like anything else, you know, if there's a will, there's a way, or maybe the opposite, there's a way, there's a will, you know, however you want to look at it. But, you know, I in my mind, I guess you can call me a stubborn, persistent kind of guy where, you know, if I see something like uncharted waters, it's kind of spooky, scary, but, you know, I think that's what we put on earth for, is to humbly make a difference, and if that makes sense. You know, it's I don't do this for the fame or fortune. I do this because obviously my kids, I want them to believe when they have dreams or they have a vision, then you got to go out and get it. You know, it's not handed to you. And still today, you know, with my projects that's ahead, I get up 3:30, 4, 5 at the latest, and I write.
That's my kind of guy. You're my kind of guy, Derick.
I mean, you know,
up before everybody else, man.
Yeah, you know, I still do it till today. I write every day. I just, you know, try to. I mean, I just surrounded by so many great people, and as long as this lasts, let's make it happen. You know.
Oh my goodness! And speaking of your kids, Santana, he's really talented. I remember because we went to Coffee Addict for our gym anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Earlier ones,
that's right. I remember.
And he did the magic show, and he even played. And I was like, oh, this is great. And
Santana, 3 boys, man. Santana, Marley, and Jackson. So, and they're growing up quick, you know. So, I think that's my motivation, my ultimate motivation. To and everybody else, you know, it's not really about, you know, us. It's really about helping each other walk home in a sense where, hey, you know, you got something, let's make it a positive and just, you know, inspire the world in that matter. Somehow, some way we can, you know. So I just glad I get to do it through my music, my writing, my projects, my performances, and whatever it may be. Yeah.
See, that's incredible. You know, Derick, and going back to like how you're mentioning about like you were consuming a lot of like reading a lot and doing a lot, journaling, writing. Was there some books or something like that, or people you've met that really influenced you along the way, or?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, believe it or not, I have not I only started writing maybe like almost 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Back then when I started ukulele, it was all composition, was all writing music. I mean, well, I wouldn't say writing music like notes, because I cannot read music. I would just connect the dots and make happy faces, to be quite honest. I would be sorry, band teachers. But everything is done by ear, and I figure it out, and it's done by patterns on the ukulele. And all those years was just, how can I transpose my feelings through the ukulele and just kind of channel the energy through it. And then maybe 4 years ago, I guess you can say I was tired of traveling. I was tired. I was burnt out. It was a lot going on. Like, I was pulled in millions of directions, and it was great, but I felt that, like, I don't think I can do this much longer. And I told my wife that one time. I said, I think I came home from, I think it was Europe, and I was so beat. I put down my luggage. I looked at her and said, I'm done. She said, what do you mean you done? You just got home. You done what? Like, immediately I put down my bags, and what could I say? I think I'm done touring. I don't want to go on the road anymore. She's like, what? Like, just like, what happened to you? Like, there was and I wasn't anything bad. But anyways, just moving forward a little bit, I felt I needed to write, like, words, feelings, and just basically pencil to paper, pen to paper. And I was blessed enough to crossroads with Jason Mraz, and his best friends and his mentors are my friends. That's how I met Jason. I was good friends with his good friends.
Oh, okay.
And we did events together. We toured together. Yeah. So it was like one day Jason was on Maui doing a concert, and Jason called me up. He said, hey, my friend Billy, blah, 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 hey, let's do a song together. I said, shoot, I'll be there, brother. So anyways, Jason encouraged me to start writing. And that led to songwriting. Yeah, that led to songwriting, and it was very uncomfortable. Like, just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm being brutally honest. Is it okay to write that? But it is. Right. You should be. If you're mad, you're sad, you're happy, right? Nobody's gonna read it. But in my mind, I was that self-critic, right? I can't write that, But if you feel you can't write that, then you say I can't write that. So it was a training thing where it was, how can so anyway, that's why I write every day. It's kind of like morning pages. Get your feelings, your whatever emotions, your thoughts, get the junk on paper, just get it on paper. And then I started writing, and it's been a life changer, man. For the past 4 years now, I write almost 4 years I did that mindset, that transition. But for sure, nearly 3 years, I've never missed a day of morning pages. Wow. Yeah, I write every single day.
Oh my goodness!
But it's great. It's you just gotta show up, right?
That's an understatement. Show up. So, and then leading into that, was that how the Dear Me album started? Like, what? Because that was 4 years ago, you said, and then. Yeah. So around 17.
17, correct. Yeah. So this album, it was basically a result of writing. Writing meaning, is it a songwriter or is it music composition? I don't know. I didn't know. And I also got introduced to music licensing, which is writing specifically for film and television, which I'm currently in right now. But it led me to say yes to these little things. And it was so uncomfortable. It still is. It's scary, because you put a ukulele in my hand, I'm in my safe zone. Right. I'm in my comfort zone. Let's go. Right. But you put just me and a paper, and I have to write to projects or song. Like, I have to write a song before I pick up the ukulele. Now that's a challenge. Oh my goodness. So that's what I've been presented, and it just led to this my first ever singer-songwriter project Dear Me, and Dear Me is a letter that I wrote to myself.
Oh wow, there you go.
I wrote a letter to myself, and it became a song.
Oh my God, I was listening to some of the tracks this morning, and I was just like, oh my God, this is. I was just so curious. How did that start? That's why probably everybody's like, wow.
Yeah.
So where can they find Dear Me?
Man, it's all over. All the streaming and downloadable sites, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, whatever.
Got it. We're gonna make sure that all the links are good to go.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, Dear Me. See, and that's incredible because I was gonna ask another question that people were asking, like, what do you do when a high performer gets like that burned out or overwhelmed? And you exactly described it about writing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only human as everybody else. I do have feelings. I do have self-doubts. I do have highs and lows. And I think that's the beauty of it is when I'm feeling that way, I be in that moment. I live it. Where if I, happy, let's be happy. And if I'm sad or angry or somewhat depressed or just maybe unsure, it's totally okay. And that's when my support team comes in. Like I said, I surround myself with great people that holds me accountable for not just what I do, but for who I am. And I love that because like I said, we all struggle to some degree of some issues or whatever, and that is human nature, and I acknowledge that. And that's it's we just from there on it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. And to me, I think as long as you know that, I feel we all can walk each other home.
Oh my God. See, there you go, man. Like, before we wind down to the last couple questions, Derick, the time is just flying. I'm just like, oh my God. I want to just acknowledge you, Derick, because you came in here and you're just so authentic about sharing, the highs and the lows and all the support system and all these different stories. And for everybody listening, people, they're going to be like, you got to ask, you forgot to ask this, Justin. You forgot to ask that, Justin. We got to get them on again and, in the future. And I really feel like it's going to help a lot of the college kids or the early 20 guys who want to pursue something, but they'll get that like momentarily stuck. Yeah. And then they're like, it wasn't for me. Because that is so respectable. Yeah. What you got, Derick, is that tenacity or grit or whatever the word you want to call it, like 3 years and just not getting word back and and I'm sure everything was like that, especially in the beginning, and where it's like, oh my God, I gotta just keep going, keep calling, keep emailing. Yeah. And so I just want to acknowledge that you being here and I know what is it, February on a Friday, Aloha Friday. So thanks again for being here, Derick. So
just honestly, and this goes for everybody, just don't give up on your dreams. I mean, literally, maybe you can shelve it and not forget about it, but don't give up on it. I mean, case in point, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I mean, that is what I still vision myself on the baseball field. Like that in my mind, like I see myself on the baseball field, MLB. Wow. And I grew up thinking that. But when I took the music route, I didn't give up on that. Like I still vision maybe one day, but right now I got to do the music. Yeah. And eventually, I didn't mention this early on, but the first national anthem on the national stage was actually at the Arizona Diamondbacks on Chase Field in Phoenix. Wow. That was back in 2010. That is when I first made my official dream come true by really not giving up on my childhood dream. Wow. And long story, but I got invited to perform the national anthem for the Arizona Diamondbacks
Wow.
and Atlanta Braves game.
The Braves game.
Yeah, 2010. And that was my first time ever walking on a Major League Baseball field. And the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, they knew my story and how special that was. So it was so surreal where they VIP'd me right in the parking lot and went into the field, went underground, came up through this tunnel. And when I immediately came out of this tunnel, there were the owners, the executives, holding a baseball jersey. Number 21 with Sebastion on them, as if I was drafted.
Oh my goodness.
And here I am walking in with my ukulele, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I just cried. It was just so emotional because they made my dreams come true through my music.
Through music.
Yeah. Wow. And to me, that was like, wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that sparked a lot of ideas, and it really fueled the fire. We're like, what else? And so that was the first anthem.
What else is possible mindset you're talking about? Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So that happened back in 2010. So the Lakers really, it was a result of that, like just trying to figure it out. The Lakers was pretty hard. That's a big time organization, right? So it was hard to crack. So
good. There, see, that's the kind of stuff that people are gonna be like, what? That's gonna be the nugget right there, mic drop right there. Boom, man. Serious, like, wow, you know. And this because I have a feeling of what you might say about this next part. What would you say about 3 things, if you could only leave 3 on a piece of paper, maybe 3 advice, 3 tips, 3 resources, 3 anything, pieces of wisdom, knowledge, anything from you for your kids and your family, what would those 3 things be?
Ooh, that's a deep one. Ooh, that's a hard one, bro. Justin, you
so
got
for
me.
instance, it's kind of like for me, it might be something along the lines of like gratitude, you know, being grateful.
Yeah.
And then second one could be like, for me, be present.
Yeah.
You know, just like right now,
Totally.
being here right now, just listening to you, absorbing your feelings, your energy, and it's just incredible because I can feel it. Like when you're talking about your events, I can feel it. I'm like, wow, and I'm not even there, and I can feel like the energy. And then the third one would be just never give up. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, like, I mean, those would probably be the 3, 4 myself.
You know, for me, I'm not a outspoken kind of guy. You know, I love to observe, and I'm a dreamer. I really am. So to me, number 1 is just being humble, and just being very grateful for where you at right now, right here, right now. I guess that's number 1. Number 2 is believe. Yeah, when you believe, I think it's key because most times things starts with an idea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if? What if I was to, like, all these events, you know, what if I was to be on Staples Center? How would that be?
Right.
That's an idea. But if you say, I'm gonna be on Staples Center, that you just really made that if. It's just when I be on Staples or when I be on that center, you know what I mean? So it starts with believing, and that is so huge. There's a difference, man. Like, I think, I know, I think I can, but I know I can. Right. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, falls back into believing.
Oh my goodness.
The last one is, yes, never give up. I really, truly believe in never giving up. It might not happen tomorrow. It might not happen to, you know, the next month or year or 5 years. But when it's ready and your time is gonna come, it will happen. And that's not giving up. You cannot throw the towel, man. Life is a journey, bro. You know, to me, life is, you know, showing up to your river and saying yes to its flow, rapids and all.
Here we go, rapids and all.
Yeah, show up to your river and
right
just
there.
go. You know what I mean? And if you give up, you're not doing your river, man.
Yeah.
You know, pit stop, okay, but keep going.
Keep going.
Never
as soon as you recover, go back.
Yeah, keep going, but keep paddling.
Oh my gosh. See, that's what it is. Be humble. The never give up was the last one, and the second one, believe.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
My God.
I don't know. I was just.
I love that. Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Oh man.
You know, final question that we always ask to our guests, like, when you first saw or heard about fighting sickness with fitness, what kind of came to mind?
Well, I heard your story before I saw your slogan. I stumbled upon your videos on Instagram or some kind of social media platform, and I noticed how passionate you were, and still is. And to me, I sense that. I don't go out and say, I can feel your passion, but when I look for people who's totally in it, and you're totally in it, and my wife was like, yeah, Justin, he has a fitness thing. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And fighting sickness, and I got to know your story. Wow, that's amazing, bro. And this is just the beginning for you. You know, 5-10 years later, you're gonna look back and this was the stepping stone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Fighting sickness with fitness. I mean, that's great, man. You living it. And that's your calling.
That is. It really is. It's like I wake up every day just so still. I can't even. I beat my alarm every day at 4:30. I'm like, oh my God, I'm up.
Yeah.
I wake up at 3:30. Something like what you're saying. It's just so. When you're excited, you don't need that much sleep. 6 hours, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
it's like,
I hear you.
And so, I want to just, this is for you, Derick, Fighting Sick. This is our recently one that came out.
Right on, my man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's for you. And, I was just curious there, what can we do for you? Like, what can we do to be of service to you?
Oh, man. You are too kind, man. This is... I don't know right off the bat, but I tell you what, for me, I would love to see you continue your mission. And to me, I believe if your intention and your values are right and pono and sits well with you, then one day our paths gonna cross where we gonna eventually work together, or just our mission's gonna cross where gonna have something, and that's when I think I can tell you what you can do for me or what I can do for you, vice versa. But continue on, man, with what you're doing. And I mean, listen, you started off with this vision of this fighting sickness with fitness. How you gonna do that?
Yeah.
And you showed up. You opened up I don't know before this, but started off with half of this place. Right? You say, wow, that is super cool. But now it's kind of like I still continue my mission, and you expand it. And that's like same thing in my story, where you just keep showing up. All of a sudden, we're in a room doing a podcast.
I know, it's crazy.
So I'm just saying, like,
during COVID, a pandemic.
Right. I mean, you started off with fitness, but now you're in a podcast.
Yeah.
What's next, Justin? I'm serious. And that's the most exciting part is just, you never, ever will know the answers right away. It just doesn't happen. But if you just show up and, you keep that faith and you believe, you will find the answers along the way. Guarantee, 100% sure. I'm a walking testimony to, I don't know. Let's just go though. Let's just try, right? And most people, they're so afraid to fail because it's like, the worst thing somebody can do is, kill the thought without even trying. Yeah, like say, I wanna try to bench 135. Yeah. But nah. Let's just put on the 35 plates instead. But you didn't try. You killed the thought.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was nervous as heck when I had to email the Lakers, maybe, and then follow up. Yeah. But if I didn't hit send, I would never know. So it's kind of like you gotta try. To me, rejection is just a redirection.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's kind of like,
that was good.
yeah, if the doors is not,
Rejection is just redirection.
yeah, basically that's what it is.
Derick
It's
Sebastion.
not it's not failure, man. Failures are if you just stop and give up. To
Mhm.
me, I think there's a time and point where you could stop and give up in a sense, which maybe it's the best. But as far as what you're passionate about and excited about, you gotta keep going.
Mhm.
You know, just because, man, in my mind, a no means yes.
No means yes.
So, I mean, as odd as that sounds,
Yeah.
I had so much no's, Justin.
Yeah.
No, Derick, we're not ready. No, this is not time. No, this is not the right gig. This is, the ukulele is not the instrument we're looking for. No, we don't think your show is ready. No, no.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of yeses that came about that.
Yeah.
Came from that. So I like to count those as blessings, because that make me work harder and
Absolutely.
appreciate.
Mhm.
And yeah. So
My God, Derick.
nah, man,
Oh
I'm
my
following a
gosh.
lead, dude.
Man, that's freaking awesome, man. Derick, I want to just thank you so much again
Yeah,
for
buddy.
coming on to the podcast. And for people listening, where can they find you, follow you, or, if they want to reach out to you? Is there an email or-
Yes. Well, I tell you what, the best is straight up on my website. My team did it a fantastic job. DerickSebastion.com, DERICK, Sebastion.com. From there, there's all my social media, contact, info, music, stories, updates. I don't know, pictures, I guess, nowadays,
Yeah.
which is social media kind
Yeah.
of, deal. There's all my links and stuff like that there. So,
Right on.
but yeah, on to the next, man.
Derick, man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
It's
And
my pleasure,
ladies
my
and
friend.
gentlemen, thank you guys all so much. And subscribe, guys. If you guys haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button.
Thank
See you guys in the next one. Done.